They've lost daughters and sons. A year after the collapse of Rana Plaza, they're still mourning the dead and demanding compensation from the international companies whose contractors made clothes there. A memorial for the most devastating accident in the history of the garment industry and of a system of exploitation.
When you come here, you immediately feel a deep sadness. You see things on the ground like clothes hangers and bits of fabric, and things that remind you of everyday life in the factory. It's really upsetting.
Magnus Schmidt works with the GIZ in Bangladesh. He runs a project aimed at improving conditions in the factories.
Clothes concern everyone. Even the clothes I'm wearing right now come from Bangladesh. People give their lives here to make clothes for Europeans. That's pretty shocking.
In Bangladesh, there are more than 5,000 clothing factories employing 4 million people. In this industry, the pressure is immense. After Rana Plaza, few factories are prepared to open their doors to journalists. But we are allowed to film here, a model factory where Janatul Fekdushi works.
Before this, I never worked anywhere for long. I couldn't take the other factories for more than 5 or 6 months. But here, it's okay. I've been here 7 years.
The firms that order clothes from here are mostly European. They include CNA. It has sourced clothes from this factory for years, working with GIZ and Magnus Schmidt.
Sadly, safety standards are still bad in many factories. For example, the firewalls are inadequate. The stairways don't have fireproof doors, and teams aren't trained to respond if a fire breaks out. That's what's missing from a lot of factories.
Schmidt and the C&A Foundation are trying to improve product and safety standards in the factories. The foundation's pilot project is running in 5 of the firm's 150 factories in Bangladesh. So is the project just a PR exercise?
I think if it was just for the image, we wouldn't be continuing be testing it, and we're also sharing the lessons actually to the entire industry. So right now we are in the middle of publishing a case study about the program, because I think we can learn a lot before we scale up the program, but other brands can learn as well.
The idea of suddenly introducing European production standards isn't popular with many factory owners in Bangladesh. But owner Fuad Abdullah sees it as an opportunity. Still, the biggest problem he faces is buyers' pressure to keep prices low. International companies come to Bangladesh because they know that wages are low here.
If you ask me that way, I don't think there's a fairness, but that's how the world is. Budget for clothing is the least for people. They will pay money for a mobile phone, they will pay money for holidays, but everyone looks for $10 jeans. And it's driven by the market demand. It's not the buyers alone trying to sell it cheap.
In Bangladesh, the minimum wage for garment workers has just risen to 50 euros a month. With lots of overtime, seamstress Janatul Fekdushi can make 85 euros per month. But in Dhaka, rents rise with garment workers' wages. And like many, Fekdushi also has a family to support.
Of course I miss my family. I live here by myself. My father, my mother, they all live far away in the country. Even when things aren't going so well, I'm still the only one who's earning. So I send home as much as I can.
1,100 people died at Rana Plaza. 2,000 more were injured, some severely. Many victims of the accident are still struggling to recover. Rehana Akhtar was forced to go to work on the day of the accident, though there was already a gaping hole in the building. A wall and then the ceiling collapsed on her. She lost her leg. Rehana has received some money from the government, but none from the clothing companies.
Is my leg really only worth 9,000 euros? For the rest of my life, I've lost the chance to earn good money, and I can't help out my family anymore. I could go back to work at some point if I had a better prosthesis.
The companies whose clothes were produced at Rana Plaza have agreed to compensate the victims. But so far, less than half of the planned 29 million euros have been paid into the fund. Critics say the firms are playing for time.
The fact that it takes such a huge accident with more than 1,100 people dead to actually get the ball rolling makes me pretty mad sometimes.
Some factories have been shut down due to poor safety standards. A small victory in the fight to stop another disaster.